In third grade, the most important decision that anybody had to make was which instrument we were going to play in the fourth grade band. And there was a lot of hype around this, so we all had to go into the auditorium. We were so excited we didn't have to do math that day. And the conductor, Mrs. Pratt, had lined up all the instruments, and she demonstrated the great heights we could reach by playing the Star Wars theme song on the saxophone, which seemed like the pinnacle of just anything you could achieve in your life at that point. I knew that whatever instrument I chose was going to kind of be subsumed into my identity. And so I had to pick this very carefully. I wasn't cool enough for the saxophone. I wasn't feminine enough for the flute. I didn't even look at the brass section because I had watched my brother try the trombone 3 years earlier, and that ended in a disaster. So I settled on the clarinet. I was really excited about my decision, and when I got home and announced it to my family, my father was just as enthusiastic as me, if not more so. He had also played the clarinet growing up, and not only was I going to follow in his footsteps, but didn't even have to buy an instrument because his clarinet was still upstairs in our crawl space. So the two of us went up together. We had a lot of crap in there. We had to kind of move around. I had a flashlight. We finally extracted this instrument and opened it. I'd never actually seen it before. He hadn't taken it out since the 9th grade. And there was a faux velvet lining. It looked so fancy. And there was a label in there. And he said, "You see that? It says Dubois International." I'm so proud of it. He said, "Dubois, it's French." The French really know how to make a good instrument. And it's wooden. They make plastic these days. You're going to be the only kid in your class who has a wooden instrument. And he told me the history of the Dubois. He had gone in 1967 when he was 10 to pick this out with his father, Mario. And Mario had chosen to go to rent an instrument from Frank Barbara. The school had given him a list of things, and he said, "Frank Barbara, he's from the old neighborhood," meaning Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. "This is a man to be trusted. Frank Barbara is gonna do me a solid." So they went over there, and Frank Barbara convinced him not to rent, but to buy the Dubois. It was a good investment. It was wooden. It was French. The French really did know how to make a good instrument. And Mario, this was a lot of money at the time. He shelled out for the instrument. Frank Barbara convinced him, and now my father could see that he had been right the whole time. It had paid off because I was now going to inherit the Dubois. And it was clear right away that I was the only kid in the class with a wooden clarinet, and I also noticed pretty immediately that I had to work a lot harder to get a noise to come out of my clarinet than everybody else. You know, people were just breathing normally, and I was exhausted at the end of every rehearsal. I felt like I had to swim the English Channel just to, toot out a little E. And then pretty soon it started to fall apart. So it had been in crawl spaces and attics for decades. It had not been well taken care of. And I inevitably, sometime during warm-ups, I'd raise my hand and Mrs. Pratt would be like, "Yes, what is it today?" "Oh, it just fell apart. I can't get any noise out." She was always fixing it with a rubber band, piecing it together. And she was like, "This will hold. This rubber band will hold for today, hopefully. But you really should think about replacing this clarinet." Now, when I told my father this, he was outraged about it. "Oh my God, that's a Dubois. We can't replace that. It's a good instrument." She doesn't even know anything about musical instruments, this band conductor. She doesn't know a good instrument when she sees one. It doesn't need to be replaced. It just needs to be repaired. So my father kind of weighed his options and got a recommendation for Virgil Scott, who was from his proverbial old neighborhood in Yonkers, New York. That's where he repaired instruments. And so here's another man to be trusted, Virgil Scott. We're going to take it to him. So my father takes it to him. I get back in a few days, and it's okay. And then the problems start to creep back. And I'm like, "Oh, it's broken again." It goes back to Virgil Scott. I get it back a few days. It starts to, same problems come back. This happens about 7 times over the course of a school year. No other kid, by the way, with a brand new instrument ever had to go to any repair shop in the 4th grade, and I was there 7 times. On the 8th time, my mother said, this isn't working. Clearly Virgil's not doing a good job, and my father took a personal affront to this. It's like, yeah. My mother was like, you should take it to someone else. Virgil's not doing it. And my father was like, I can't betray Virgil like that. This is Virgil from Yonkers. So it was decided that I was going to go with my father to explain to Virgil, maybe give some more color to the situation, and hopefully we'd get to the bottom of this, figure out what was wrong with the instrument. And we get to this house in Yonkers, and this really old man answers the door, and there's just instruments everywhere. And I'm thinking, maybe Virgil is kind of past his prime. But I explained the situation about the clarinet. My father's like, so, what do you think? Can you do something? And Virgil says, look, you've been coming here a lot. I can't keep taking your money. I feel like I'm robbing you. You know, this clarinet is never going to play well again. You should think about getting another one. And my father said, oh, that's really too bad. That's such a shame because, you know, it's a Dubois. And it was my clarinet, and it's a good instrument. And Virgil says, you know, I've been doing this a really long time, and I've never heard of a Dubois. But I do know that this clarinet is a piece of junk. Did you get it at a tax sale? My father was so mad on the way home. I just remember him gripping the steering wheel, and he said, it was Frank Barbara. Frank Barbara screwed us over. And all those years later, now we knew he was not a man to be trusted.